Well, happy Friday to everyone. Great to have you joining us here on this Friday afternoon, or maybe Friday morning where you're at. But it's great to have Friday. I know sometimes the days are starting to flow together for some folks. I talked to somebody the other day that said there were really only 3 days of the week anymore. It was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. If you didn't know, I'll remind you, today is Friday. And it's great as we've been hosting throughout really this experiment or kind of experience that we're all going through with COVID-19, having Facebook Fridays where we have an opportunity to just kind of come on and touch base with folks and be able to share some of the things that are going on at Therap. And we're excited today to have another Facebook Friday. And today we have a special guest with us that we're excited to have. And we'll get to that in just a second. Hope that everyone, though, is staying safe and paying attention to all the things that are going out there. And thanks for joining us for just this event and coming and being a part of this opportunity to kind of check in. Today, as I said, we're kind of excited, especially to have with us from UMKC and the Institute for Human Development, Shelley Reynolds. Shelley is someone that we've certainly got to know quite a bit in the last few years and have grown to appreciate so much. And so, Shelley, it's great to have you with us. And as a part of this Facebook Friday, would you take just a second and to all those folks out there that may have not had the opportunity to get to know you, just kind of introduce yourself and what you are doing there at the university and the position that you have.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, welcome. I'm excited to be a part of this, and I'm excited for those of you that have joined us live. My name is Shelley Reynolds, and I work at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, as Jeff said. And my role there is the Director of Individual Advocacy and Family Support. And in that role over the last 20 years, I've really focused on really supporting people with disabilities and their families in a lot of different ways, both in terms of providing information, referral, different types of training. But a lot of this work really comes from the fact that I have a brother with a developmental disability. So partnering with Therap, not only on this call, but in the work that we're going to share with you is really dear to me in that how are we really bringing to life the support needs, and how are we ensuring that policies and practices are really what people need? So what drives all of the initiatives and projects that I work on are really related to really that ultimate goal.
Great. And some of naturally what has kind of allowed our paths to cross is some of the things that I know you're incredibly passionate about is just the whole sense of this charting the LifeCourse Nexus that has been established and has began to expand and have more and more influence as folks are seeking to be able to articulate and communicate what it is that they want and their ability to find ways to reach that. And so I want to just take opportunity to, before we get too far into just the intersection of both Therap and charting the life course, of giving you opportunity to just explain really to those maybe who haven't had an opportunity to be exposed to charting the life course, to describe that, at least from an overview of what that is and how that's so valuable to individuals that are trying to articulate, and to families that are trying to find out how they can reach their best or good life.
So, I'd like to take people back to about 10, 15 years ago and really understanding really where this came from. And a lot of the work that I do is working directly side by side with individuals that experience disability, as well as their families and their supporters. And we were really, we're charged at the university with really developing best practices. And for us, it was really trying to understand, what is it that people need information about? When do they need that information? And what type of information do they need? And at that time, we were working on a number of different things, but we were sitting around with our team, and we started to really say, what do you wish you had as a family member or a person with a disability? What do you wish you knew about? And what we know is that people don't know what to ask when they are making calls. And so, maybe you're experiencing something different with your child and you have questions, or maybe you have a child with a disability and you don't understand special education. And what we started to do was we started to write these questions down in the way that people speak, in the way that people think. And for us, what was really, really important was that we spoke and we developed things in very common language, because the other thing that we find is that everything is so complicated. I always say it's disability speak, or it's more formal speak. And so when you have a diagnosis, all of a sudden you're having to learn a whole new foreign language. And so how can we, stop that and actually start speaking to people, and where and how they speak? And so we started to organize those questions by life stages, and we started to organize them by life domains. And, at first we were like, great, thanks for the information. This is really helpful. But the stakeholders we were doing this with really pushed us and just kept saying, this is really great. Can we use this? Can we do that? And so over 10 years ago, we didn't set out on this path to develop trying the LifeCourse tools and even a driving framework. So inside UMKC, we were working on that with our Missouri Family to Family Resource Center, and continuing to say, how can we develop training and different tools? And then we entered into an incredible partnership with the National Association for State Directors for Developmental Disability Services, where we formed the Community of Practice on Supporting Families. And this was a national initiative to really sort of push person-centered practices to really help people understand that person within the context of their family and the types of supports that family might need to support their loved one. And so that conversation with the Community of Practice in 6 states really elevated the LifeCourse framework to becoming a framework, quite frankly. And we used it as our guiding principles. And it became a way that we started to think and organize, and really just a reminder to us in the work that we were doing of how are we ensuring that everything is staying centered on that person. And from it turning into a framework, people that know me will tell you I'm rarely without markers and a whiteboard. So Jeff and Justin were just teasing me about this. I think in terms of pictures, images, and colors. And so when we went to describe the sort of principles to individuals around the country, we did that in a lot of different shapes and a lot of different images. So if you're familiar with LifeCourse, or as you become familiar, you'll see the star and you'll see the buckets and you'll see the different life domains. And each one of these become this sort of visual icon that really give you a mental picture of really understanding the things to think about if you're problem solving and planning with a person. And so it was from that sort of description of those principles that people started to say, wow, take that star concept and make us a tool and give us a form. But at the heart and soul of it really isn't the tools. It's really that sort of mental image for helping you problem solve better. And so that's where we're at today.
And it's been exciting to just not only hear historically that 10 years and where you're going, but I know you are excited, as are we, about some of the new things that are coming out. And for Therap, we've been around for a while, and there's this evolution and things get enhanced and improved. And we certainly have some of those things that we'll talk about. But I know you have some enhancements and things that are new that are coming out with charting the LifeCourse. So why don't you just mention about some of those new things that are coming out as well?
Yeah, so I always remind people that the thing about LifeCourse is that it's driven by a community of people, and in some ways it serves as a language for people to articulate really the importance and values that they've always had. So it validates for many people. And so I always use a big fancy word called iterative, and all that really means is that both working with stakeholders and we listen a lot to our community of learners and sharers and trainers and direct support professionals and families, and say, what is it that you need? And so I kind of laugh because, we've basically been chasing all of you in the field to try to catch up with really what you guys want and the tools you need to do the work that you do. And so our website was designed, 8 years ago or something, really for our project, almost as a filing cabinet of like, let's just stick this up there. It's the best way to get it out to our national community of practice. And so it's not equipped to do what it is that people are demanding and wanting now. So we are our fingers crossed, everything goes well. Our plan is on June 1st to launch our new website, which will have how-to videos. It'll have examples of the tools. It'll have new tools. And the reason why this is so exciting for us is that, over the last, 8 years, 10 years or whatever, this sort of has been this, what I would call this grassroots, really listening to our field and understanding and creating these tools in a lot of different ways. But what we'll be able to come out with in June 1st is a new set of actual tools, templates, fillable. People can download them. And we have a lot of new things to kind of offer people in terms of being able to access and get their hands on more information related to LifeCourse.
Yeah, we're really excited about seeing some of those, and we've already seen many of them because you've shared them with us as we kind of get in and transition to some of the things from a Therap perspective that as we got more and more into just the discovery of charting the life course and what it did, and certainly the ability to understand. I know for me, someone who has went through the ambassador program and certainly learned the framework and all that was associated with that really was just a great opportunity. I encourage anybody who has an opportunity to go through that to certainly take advantage of that. And in a minute, I want to just introduce Justin Brocky, the COO of Therap, and kind of give a sense of the intersection between charting the life course and Therap. And we certainly started to get this from some of our providers in some other ways. But Justin, as you come in, you want to talk a little bit about just the intersection of charting the life course and Therap and that origin and some of the things that have taken place in the last few years as our partnership. Therap now is an official licensed partner of Charting the Life Course. We're really excited to be a technical partner with Charting the Life Course and some of the things that we're getting ready to release as well as have available for folks. But Justin, would you just take a few moments and kind of give the sense of our intersection with Charting the Life Course from the Therap side of things?
Sure, happy to. And a happy Friday to everyone. I personally came across the life course framework first. It so happens that two of those community of practice that Shelley was discussing earlier, Delaware and South Dakota, are also states where we've got state contracts and where we've been working. And the folks in both of those states were very, very excited about implementing the framework. And following up on that, and I think with yourself, Jeff, we were seeing things happening in Missouri and at Therap. Interestingly enough, as you talk about sort of 10 to 15 years ago, that's exactly when Therap started. We're 15 years old, and supports have changed in that time, and we're trying to keep up and look at things and say, how do we get up to date? How do we get more family centric? I think the world was a much more congregate place in terms of the provider groups that we were working with when we started. So we've been looking about, what is the best practice in planning and communication and all of that. And probably what sold me was we went down to Kansas City and we met with Shelley and Jenny and started brainstorming. Like I said, there was paper on the walls, there was hands going all over the place. And Shelley made the comment that I have since stolen and used many, many times, and which was the fact that in real life, everybody's actual case manager is their mother. And speaking as a parent of a kid with a disability, there is no greater truism than that. My wife is, without question, my daughter's case manager. And from there, I was sold. And we started exploring again. We put a group of the Therap staff, about 15 of us, including the developer who actually developed the Charting the Life Course module. The programmer, she sat in on that train, and it was great. You got a whole bunch of both human services folks and sort of techie nerds all going through and all seeing this framework make a real difference in the way they thought. It was happening at a time where I was experiencing some other sort of medical issues within my family, and it applied to that so well that it was just like, this is something we've got to buy into. This makes sense for where we're going, and it's folks who think the same way that we do and who can brainstorm as quickly as we do. And since then, we've been sort of exploring, where does this partnership go to the not to the end point, but to the first stage where we did a release a couple of weekends ago that now includes a few of those brand new forms that Shelley was talking to that have made it into our application. Like I say, we're just really, really excited to be the first technology partner of the LifeCourse Nexus.
Yeah, and not only just excited about that, but I mean, one of the things that I think as we went through just the ambassador training and saw these great tools and saw this from a tech side, from where we come from, the one thing that we all looked around at each other and say is like, this is great, but it really needs to be something that you can share, not on bits of paper, but be able to share, electronically, whether they're, clear across the country or clear around the globe. It really even becomes more apparent in the situation that we're in right now of, people aren't sharing anything, not even a handshake, let alone bits of paper. And so, how do you have the ability to be able to share very important pieces of information that you want folks to be able to see and be able to collaborate and share? How do you do that? And for us, it just made sense that you would be able to do that in a very secure, transparent way, which, we certainly see that as being available to be done in Therap. So Justin, I'll bring back to you. You want to just kind of highlight those kind of pieces or aspects of Charting the Life Course that's now available in Therap, and the ability to be able to start using those.
Yep. And again, it's not about the forms, but it is about the forms. It's a manner of thinking, and I think we'll get to talking about how people can learn a little bit more about the thought processes behind the form. But at some stage, it needs to either become electrons or paper. So we've got, and I'm a big fan of the new artwork. The colors are brighter. I believe they're more 508 compliant. There's words around the star because I can never remember which color is which. So it really helps me for that. And we've got that star in there. We've got a couple of different trajectories which you can use in a whole bunch of ways. And then some of the planning and visionary tools are in there. And we're very much looking forward to doing more. So as you get into Therap and you start using those, if you're like, oh, this is great, but I use that tool, that's the one that I like, let us know. We'd love to have some conversations. I was really excited to hear Shelley use the word iterative. We're big on iterating. Again, it's we like to get something out there in front of our community of users and get their feedback before we do the next generation of any module, and that's right where we are. This is, as it were, version 1.0, and we want folks getting in there and playing around with it and giving us some feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that I know as I've used it, and certainly even in my own family, the ability to fill out a trajectory and do some different things. It's been just a really valuable tool and a way to have folks come around and start discussing and trying, again, for each person to begin to describe their good life and how other folks can contribute and participate in the attainment of that and being able to reach that. So we're incredibly excited to release these, and for agencies and providers and families to be able to start using these. certainly reach out to us if you have a desire to start utilizing this from a Therap capacity. We're certainly would love to talk to you about how that's possible and how that's available. Some of the other aspects of that we're really excited about too is we can kind of share that, but there is certainly a much deeper level that you can go to and consulting and training and things that are associated with beyond just the tools and the framework as a whole that you can get from Shelley and Charting the Life Course Nexus. Shelley, do you want to talk just a little bit about the ability for you guys to facilitate additional training, or if folks are looking for that, how you might be able to assist an organization or those that would be looking for additional training?
Absolutely. So a couple different things I really want to point out, and why I'm so excited about this partnership with Therap is that I think Therap recognizes and values our commitment to our first principle, and it's the concept around all. And the framework and the tools themselves are universal. It's not a disability thing. It's not an aging thing. It's not an early childhood thing. It's really rather a human-centric thing. And so Therap's partnership with us is it's taken us a long time to finally launch that publicly, but why it was sort of, where we were really focusing on was the ability to make sure that LifeCourse stays accessible to everybody in a way. And so I'm sharing this with you because at the university, everything we do is in partnership. And staying true to the concept around all is how can we get out the information to all of the users that are interested in charting the life course in a way that's accessible to them, that they're able to do it, but at the same time, enable us to continue to be able to meet the sort of training and technical assistance and the more formal needs that different organizations and entities have. So our website and our tools are available to everybody, but as people start becoming more comfortable or more interested in that, what they start realizing that is that the framework itself, it becomes almost a cultural change to really help you bring home person-centered thinking and think about that in terms of all your policies and your practices. So for organizations that are really sort of adopting the overall mindset, it's really important to reach out to us so that we can help you go through that process and really understand, boy, what have other agencies done? How can I implement it with our HR department? How am I teaching my DSPs about that? And so on our website, there will be the different ways that you can access that. We have a number of people going through what we call our ambassadors series, which gives you that sort of deeper cultural understanding of the principles and starts helping your staff learn how to technically implement it or integrate it within your own organization. And so the LifeCourse Nexus is this sort of fairly new concept. And the word nexus just means where things intersect. And so we want people to see UMKC as a place where they can come join this community of learners of all different types of organizations, executive directors, direct support professionals, people with disabilities, and we're all learning together. And so that's kind of how we approach everything that we do in terms of building your capacity.
And you can certainly, if you're looking for more information about that, Shelley, just the website, actual www.lifecoursetools.com is where you can go to find out. I'm assuming that isn't changing with the launch of the new website June 1. It's going to remain the same, but it'll look new, it'll look different, and it will be more valuable than it already is, which is incredibly valuable. So folks want to learn more, they can certainly do that. They can also get there from Therap as well. Off the Therap website, we have a lot of the information in regards to charting the life course and the modules and elements that are within our application, but also the ability to get to the life course tools to get additional training if you're interested in that. It again is a wonderful place to get all kinds of information that is available there if you're interested about this framework. Justin, I'll give you just another opportunity to weigh back in as far as some of the different organizations and states that we're working with and some of the sense of where you see this partnership going. You want to just kind of communicate again where we think we're going as partners with UMKC and with the LifeCourse Nexus?
Sure. Again, if you're in one of the communities of practice in South Dakota or in Delaware, keep your eyes open. We'll be working with the states there to roll this module out, and there are other folks that will do. If you're a family who's subscribed to our individual life plan package, we're going to be adding the LifeCourse tools to that package at no additional cost. So you make sure you get that turned on, and you know how to work that. And we're going to be doing an awful lot. There's a webinar, I believe, up on our website already, but there's going to be more coming, and I think you'll say some more about that as we go along. And again, we're looking for folks who are out there I know many of our agencies have already sort of bought into the framework, who would then like to take that to the next stage, and we would be delighted to get involved in that. And what I've seen work really, really well, and we've done this in South Dakota and Delaware, and actually in Alabama as well. We've had Shelley come along and help us kick off implementations and to bring, when you're doing the launch of a new case management software, it's kind of very easy not to be person-centered, not to be excited, not to remember what's the why. Why are we there? Okay, what is it we're actually trying to achieve? And we've been able to almost use elements of the framework as a project management tool within that. Back in those days, if you guys remember the days when we used to go to conferences, we had a conference in New York, Delaware, which Jenny came along to, and did such great sessions and did such great work with the providers there that everybody said, yeah, this is great, but we need 2 days of that next year, not just 1 day. So hopefully one of these days we'll be able to actually make that happen. And I think both the folks at the Nexus and ourselves are this is an example, trying to find what are the same ways that we can get that excitement, that excitement of being in a room and drawing things on walls and sharing bits of paper around and brainstorming. How can we bring that online? And I think just bringing that through the tool is a really important thing to families. So many of us are so disconnected at the moment. And if this is another tool that you can use to bring yourself together, I now look forward to Sunday afternoons and that international family Zoom meeting that there is going on in the Brocky family. And I think these are tools that, bring along a trajectory to your family Zoom meeting and see where that goes.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. I broke out trajectories over January 1st and, charting out 2020. I don't think any of us had COVID-19 as a part of that, but it certainly is a way to look at either an upcoming year or some other planning. The trajectory has certainly been a go-to for me, and just the ability to look at that and begin to plan and share with others. And Shelley, you can obviously tell from us just a sense of why we're excited of the partnership and some of the things that we're doing. I'll come back to you and just the sense of your overall understanding and impressions in regards to partnering with Therap and where you see that.
Yeah, no, I, as I kind of said earlier, I think that what's really important to me and what I get excited about with Therap is that although, you are an IT technology company working on documentation, you're much more than that. And I think what you're bringing to the field and why I think our alignment is so well with you is that it's that strong values about giving people a voice, the person themselves with a disability receiving the supports, but how are we also giving voice to the direct support professionals, to the family members? And the more and more we push ourselves as a field to provide person-centered supports, it's not about the ISP or the person-centered plan, really. It's about giving voice and making sure that our services are provided in a way that really helps that person lead to the trajectory that they want, and that the documentation then supports that and can help us make sure we're on the right trajectory. And I think that that's what, Therap, watching some of your programmers really say, wow, this level of thinking, though, might require us internally to change some of the mechanisms that have been this way for a long time. Are we ready for this commitment? And watching your leadership say, yeah, we are ready for this commitment. And I think that that's really important. So, on the very surface level, the tools and themselves are problem solving tools, and they're problem solving for anything, something technical, something, what am I going to do today? I'll even point out to you that on our website, we have some new COVID examples. We're having lots of people use the STAR. So it's not something that just has to be done in your annual planning meeting, that once your team of support starts thinking through the lens of the STAR, you start even talking different. You say, oh, well, services can't be all green, or where's the technology? And when you see that change in vocabulary, you actually see the really change in outcomes. And to me, that's really exciting. And I think Therap really embraces that in terms of making sure that they themselves are aligned with the framework, not just putting the tools in the system, and that their staff are knowledgeable, that they can talk about it, that they use it in their own lives, that they use it in their own organizational meetings, and that they can also talk about it and provide an overview of exactly how to implement that. And that's really exciting for me. And if I can just kind of piggyback on that, is that Therap's committed to helping us make sure that that you all receive information, but even beyond their Therap partners. And I think that their commitment to our national showcase that unfortunately was canceled in April kind of shows that this isn't just about how do I plug the tools in. And so I'm going to kind of do a plug to tell you that we will be doing a virtual showcase. It's going to be something that we're going to have sort of TED Talk features, what we call our Friday features, that we'll be disseminating through. We're going to do it for 6 months straight, where people can watch them anytime. But then the second Thursday of every month, we will be doing a panel, giving it an award, and kind of really honing in on that specific use of the LifeCourse tools. So the 1 month will be education, another month will be personal outcomes, another month will be how do I use the tools with my staff and my teams. So it's really exciting that Therap is supporting our efforts to actually go beyond just the Therap network.
Absolutely. And we'll look forward to participating and attending those. That looks something to look forward to. That's something we're excited about. We as well. Rethinking again, how do we just be able to share with folks and be able to extend. Pretty soon we're going to wrap up. I'll just give each of you one more opportunity. If you have anything else that you want to share, Justin, anything to wrap up that you want to close with before I turn it back over to Shelley and then wrap up?
Sure. I think it's just it is the overall excitement about this partnership, and this is the beginning. It's not the end. I think that's what I see here. Is we're going to do some great things together over the coming years, and I'm looking forward to meeting more people and finding more ways to use the tools and help people get that feedback to us and to the Nexus, so we can make Therap better and we can make LifeCourse better.
Great. And Shelley, as I said earlier, it's great to have you with us and participating on this Friday. I'll give you again an opportunity. Any last words that you have for us before we close up?
No, I just, I really appreciate our partnership. I'm excited to not only work with you, but to really, how are we going to really take this into the provider world, and how can we really help providers? And I think Therap is going to really be a strong leader in helping us really say, how does this really make sense, and really get closer, I say, to the systems and supports of a person's life. And that's where I'm excited about our partnership together. And, I'm excited from all of you that are listening. listening, because I really wholeheartedly believe, and we're here to learn and share together. And so there's nothing about LifeCourse that you can't make suggestions about. And our new tools, our new icons, the new colors, all of that came from listening to you. And so there's many ways to adapt it. So I always tell people that once they start learning about LifeCourse, you're part of our network. And so how you learn and share with us will only improve it for everybody.
Great. I want to just take an opportunity too, before I sign off, of telling everybody May 29th. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to have another opportunity to discuss some of the things with LifeCourse Nexus and Therap, as Jenny Turner, who is there with the Nexus, as well as our own Shay Dodson from Therap, who is a person-centered ambassador trainer as well. And she's went through the ambassador, and she's been a part of community practice and things. And so she is going to also be partnering with Jenny to lead a Friday Facebook live on May 29th. And you'll want to make sure and participate in that and come back and hear what they have to say. It'll be going a little deeper into just the content of what's associated with what's in there, and talking about the frameworks and talking about the usefulness of all of the tools inside of Therap. So certainly make plans to listen and participate of that on May 29th. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who took a few minutes out of their Friday to join us and to tune in. We certainly have appreciated you coming along and just sharing some of the things that we're excited about. We hope you're excited about them as well. We wish everyone a safe weekend and continue to be safe out there. Again, thanks for coming. We look forward to seeing you soon down the road.